Hi guys, it's Aileen. Um, going to be talking about social cognitive theory for chapter 12 from Bandura and Mitchell. I did show you a picture of Bandura and a picture of him actually receiving an award from President Obama. As it says here in the book, Albert Bandura, creator of social cognitive theory, was receiving the United States National Medal of Science from former U.S. President Barack Obama. Um, Social cognitive theory, we're just going to say SCT, started as the social learning theory in the 1960s by Mr. Albert Bandura. It developed into the SCT in 1986 and posits that learning occurs in a social context with a dynamic and reciprocal interaction of the person, environment, and behavior. The unique feature of SCT is emphasis on social influence and its emphasis on external and internal social reinforcement. SCT considers the unique way in which individuals acquire and maintain behavior while also considering the social environment in which individuals perform the behavior. This theory takes into account a person's past experiences, which factor into whether behavioral action will occur. These past experiences influence reinforcements, expectations, and expectancies, all of which shape whether a person will engage in a specific behavior and the reason why a person engages in that behavior. Many theories of behavior used in health promotion do not consider maintenance of behavior, but rather focus on initiating behavior. This is unfortunate as maintenance of behavior and not just initiation of behavior is the true goal in public health. The goal of SCT is to explain how people regulate their behavior through control and reinforcement to achieve goal-directed behavior that can be maintained over time. The first five constructs were developed as part of the SLT. The construct of self-efficacy, Dr. Pepe said, remember that word, was added when the theory evolved into SCT. And I'll just go over a few of them. Reciprocal determination, behavioral capabilities, observational learning, reinforcements, expectations, and again, self-efficacy, which this refers to the level of a person's confidence in his or her ability to successfully perform a behavior. Self-efficacy is unique to SAT, although other theories have added this construct at later dates, such as the theory of planned behavior. Self-efficacy is influenced by a person's specific capabilities and other individual factors, as well as by environmental factors, barriers, and facilitators. I know I'm running through these fast. We do have two more presenters after me. This was actually a very interesting chapter as I read through it. Basically, if you're watching somebody ride a bike, you're going to be, you're going to learn how to ride that same bike. That is my portion of chapter 12. It was very quick, but I did write a nice paper. I can share it with you if you like. Anyway, I'm going to be introducing Kayla. Kayla is actually going to be talking to you about the next chapter, which is our chapter 13. And I'll give it to her, and then she can go over her part. Thank you. I just wanted to put a disclaimer. I was too tired to redo the video. I must have said 25 times. Sorry about that.
In regard to the evaluation of social cognitive theory, extensive research within the field of social cognitive theory has been conducted in efforts to understand the influence of beliefs, goals, and standards on an individual's feelings and their behavior. This includes destructive emotions that weaken performance. In clinical applications, psychologists have sought to modify harmful self-beliefs. Social cognitive theory advances that generalized idea that beliefs, goals, and standards for self-evaluations, as well as proficiencies for carrying out actions, that those are cognitive variables that help to explain the exceptionality and predictive consistency of people's personalities. The primary theorists, Albert Bandura and Walter Mischel, they led research that sought to understand how individuals' cognitive abilities mature over time as they interact with their social world. In exploring these components of personality, the social cognitive theory was found to have several strengths, as well as a comparable amount of limitations. Its strengths included things like an impressive record of research. In regards to significant phenomena, those were recognized, development consistency, and focused attention paid to what is demonstrated to be important. Its limitations involved a lack of systemic and unified theory overall, potential problems associated with verbal self-reporting as well, and tentative rather than conclusive therapy-related findings. With scientific observation, the quality of scientific observations on which social cognitive theory rests is built upon a systemic gathering of objective scientific evidence. To this end, social cognitivists have conducted controlled laboratory experiments designed to test assertions that social cognitive processes casually influence personality functioning. Participants in these studies are quite diverse. They range from being children, adults, adolescents, to persons experiencing psychological distress, and high-functioning individuals at large. Variety is also evident in many kinds of research methods that are employed outside or within rather the theory. These include self-reporting questionnaires, parental and peer personality reports, direct observations in natural settings, and measuring of cognitive processes within laboratory settings. With systemic theory, social cognitive theory has many strengths, but its ability to provide a theory that is systemic, in which all theoretical elements are coherently interrelated, traditionally has not been one of them. For many years, social cognitive theory did not provide a comprehensive platform of assumptions that linked all elements of the theory's view. The approach often presents more as a strategy or framework for studying personality than a fully developed and specific theory. For example, Shota and Mischel, 2006, have referred to their CAPS model as a quote-unquote meta-theory rather than a complete theory of personality. It is framed as a conceptual framework within which further theorizing work could grow. These were designed as steps in the direction of a more systemic social cognitive theory, one that provides theoretical tools sufficient to inform the practical task of personality assessment and scientifically test identifying cross-situational consistency in an experience or action, or rather experience and action. For applications of the theory, social cognitive theorists have applied their theory to the betterment of social problems and the lessening of psychological distress. Both Bandura and Mischel were trained clinicians, and this increased their appreciation of the necessity to apply fundamental theory to practical issues. Two elements add considerably to social cognitive theorists' success in associating theory to practice. One is that they do not unnaturally divide basic and clinical study. Instead, they intentionally employ basic research queries in clinical contexts. For example, the first experimental trials of self-efficacy theory were completed in a clinical. The other is that social cognitive theorists have texts that were fundamental to the professional training of many other psychologists, who in turn advanced psychological applications. Bandura's writings on behavior theory has been utilized by many clinicians who furthered cognitive behavioral therapy towards the end of the 20th century. Michelle also authored texts pertaining to personality assessment and prediction. It taught applied psychologists about the limits of behavioral projections based on traditional psychodynamic or trait theoretic assessments. Major contributions.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I will be speaking today on chapter 14, which is about interpersonal relations, culture, and the development across the course of life. At infancy, babies can communicate with their parents through crying. This is the first step in interpersonal relationships. Mothers always say that they can determine what's wrong with their baby just by hearing them cry. There's a hungry cry, there's a need to be changed cry, and there's a hurt cry. I always hear women say that. And psychiatrists such as Paplu, which was she studied in interpersonal relationships. She was born around the Spanish flu pandemic, which inspired her to research more about sickness and how it can affect family structure. And also Harry Stex Sullivan, he's also a psychiatrist, and he believes that infants can never be separated from their caretakers, that they will always be dependent upon them. Interpersonal relationships, they do not end. You receive them from birth and even at the end of life, at death. Now that we've spoken about infants, we can talk about early childhood. Children, they are more interpersonal, of course, with their family, but mostly siblings and friends, because it's fun for them. Playing with toys, being able to talk about their favorite movies. They are more into their friends, and this carries on even until high school years, or teenagers as well. Their peers, their friendship is the most important relationship, because they feel like, you can relate to them. The friends can relate to them. I would say for family and friends, mostly young adults in adulthood, the spouse is probably one of the most important, because that's at the level of the development that they're in. Intimacy versus isolation. So marriages, families starting to, create. So the spouse is more important in that particular age range. And for the latter years, as far as like the elderly, they are more focused on family and also friends. Long-term goals are usually not as important, because they know that eventually they will pass away. So, just cherishing every moment and what you have as of, thus far is more important for them. Family, structure is most important for the elderly. Also, with the elderly, they tend to teach. They want to give like stories about, the earlier generations, just to keep, the family traditions rich. So after they pass, they can keep the traditions and the generations educated on what the family represents and what is meaningful for the family. This also comes in with culture. They have certain rites of passages for different cultures, certain religious backgrounds. They may have different, festivals and things, rituals that they do within the culture or within the religion. Like for Ethiopia, for example, they celebrate Temcat, which is the baptism of Jesus Christ. It's a very religious day. It's a very celebrated day in Ethiopia because they use a water hose and they spray, and it's supposed to be for like the prayed water, like holy water, and everybody wants to be have like a drink of it or put it over their bodies for a blessing. So keeping traditions and things within the family is very important as far as like interpersonal relationships and for the culture.